What if I told you that getting 100,000 views on YouTube doesn't necessarily mean you are making a lot of money? Two creators can get the same number of views. One could make around $400, while another could potentially make $2,000 or more. And what's the difference between these two? The niche. I've got a list of 100 YouTube niches and their reported RPM figures ranging from around $4 and all the way up to $22. And some of the results are honestly surprising because you are probably going to recognize some of the niches with the lowest RPM, and you are probably going to be surprised by some of the niches at the top. So today we are breaking down the list. And I'm also going to show you how I would use this information if I were starting a YouTube channel from zero. But before we get into the list, we need to understand one thing. What exactly is RPM? RPM stands for revenue per mille, which essentially means the amount of revenue generated per 1,000 video views. So just for simple maths, if a channel has a $10 RPM, then 100,000 views would represent about $1,000 in RPM based revenue. If the RPM were $5, 100,000 views would be about $500. And if the RPM were $20, 100,000 views would be about $2,000. But there's something very important you need to understand. These numbers you are seeing are reported or estimated niche RPM figures. They are not guarantees. Your actual RPM can be completely different depending on things like your audience, where your viewers are located, the type of content you are making, monetized views, advertiser demand, seasonality, and other factors. So don't look at this list and think, if I start a finance channel tomorrow, YouTube will automatically give me $20 RPM. That's not how it works. We are using this list to understand which type of audiences and topics can potentially have higher commercial value. So let's start from the bottom. And when I say bottom, I'm not saying these niches are bad. I'm talking about the reported RPM figures on this particular list. Some niches are around $4 RPM. For example, psychology, mythology, celebrity lifestyle, men's fashion, women's fashion, rappers, and even religion and Bible content appear around the $4 range on this list. Now, here's what's interesting. These are not necessarily unpopular topics. Some of these categories can generate enormous amounts of views, but there's a difference between getting views and getting highly valuable advertising demand. For example, a viral entertainment video might attract millions of people, but an advertiser selling financial software may be willing to spend much more to reach someone who's actively interested in investing or running a business. And this is why you shouldn't judge a need purely by how many views you see. Sports are another interesting example. Basketball news, American football, European football, boxing, golf. A lot of these sports categorized are reported around $5 RPM on this list. And that might sound low, but here's the important part. A $5 RPM channel getting 5 million views can still significantly make more money than a $20 RPM channel struggling to get 50,000 views. So remember, RPM is only one part of the equation. Now we move to the $6 to $8 range, and this is where we start seeing some really interesting categories. Animal facts, ancient civilizations, history explainers, maps and geography, astronomy, science explained, Formula One, luxury, luxury cars, luxury watches, luxury homes, travel documentaries, and vintage vehicles. A lot of these categories sit somewhere around $6 to $8 RPM according to the list. And personally, I think this is an interesting area for new creators. Why? Because these niches can combine information with entertainment. You don't necessarily have to make a boring educational video. You can turn information into stories. For example, instead of the history of the Ferrari F40, you could make why Ferrari built a car that was never supposed to exist. Instead of the history of ancient Egypt, you could make the strange reason ancient Egypt became so powerful. The topic matters, but how you package the topic matters even more. Now we are entering the $8 to $10 range, and this is where commercial intent starts becoming very obvious. We've got luxury travel, car collections, Toyota tips, cruise tips, airport tips, aviation history, airline industry, airplanes explained. And then we have categories around $10, such as aviation news, mega construction projects, air crash investigations, infrastructure explained. Now think about the advertisers surrounding some of these audiences: travel companies, airlines, hotels, car companies, insurance, financial services, technology, and other businesses. That is why audience itself matters so much. Now we are getting into the part of this list that I think is really interesting because we are entering the $11 to $15 RPM range. Let's look at some of these: geopolitics, graph statistics, economic documentaries, history meets finance, AI productivity, company history explained, AI news, company history, business and economics, AI tutorials, and finally, business case studies. Now look at the pattern. Do you see it? A lot of these topics revolve around business, technology, money, economics, professional skills, and these audiences can be extremely valuable to advertisers. But there's something else I want you to notice. AI is showing up multiple times: AI tutorials, AI news, AI productivity, and that's because AI is not just a trend anymore. It's becoming a huge part of how people work, create, and run a business. We are now getting into serious numbers. We have housing market news, economy explainers, and then beginner investing. Think about that for a second. If a channel actually maintained an $18 RPM, 100,000 views would mathematically represent around $1,800, and 1 million views, approximately $18,000. But then again, do not mistake this example for a promise. Your actual RPM can be dramatically different. The point is simply to understand why advertisers and audiences in certain industries can be more commercially valuable. And now we've reached one of the biggest numbers on this entire list: $20 RPM. The niche: personal finance. Personal finance is one of those topics where the audience can have extremely strong commercial intent. People watching personal finance content may be interested in banking, credit cards, investing, insurance, loans, financial software, investment platforms, and many other financial products and services. So if you are wondering why finance constantly appears near the top of lists like this, that's one of the major reasons. But we're not done, because there's actually one category on this list that's even higher. And the highest reported RPM figure on this list is $22. Company finance analysis. Now imagine an hypothetical channel generating 100,000 views at $22 RPM. The simple RPM calculation would be approximately $2,200. And at 1 million views, $22,000. Again, this is only an illustration of the RPM calculation. It doesn't mean YouTube is guaranteeing $22 for every 1,000 views, but it demonstrates something important. The subject matter and audience you are attracting can have a huge impact on the economic value of your views. But here is where I think a lot of people watching this video are going to make a mistake. They are going to look at this list, see $22 RPM, and immediately say, I'm starting a company finance channel tomorrow. Don't do that, because RPM is not the only thing that determines whether a channel succeeds. Let's say you create a finance channel with a potential of $20 RPM, but you hate making finance videos. You don't understand the subject, your thumbnails are bad, your videos have poor retention, and you are getting 500 views per video. Meanwhile, someone else creates a history channel with $7 RPM but gets 200,000 views per week. Who do you think is more likely to build a successful business? Exactly, the second creator. So when choosing a YouTube niche, I would look at four things. Number one, how valuable is the audience? Number two, how many people actually want this content? Number three, can I consistently create videos about it? And number four, can I make those videos entertaining enough that people actually watch them? Because a high RPM means very little if nobody clicks your video, and a million views means less if your monetization is extremely low. You want the combination. So if I were starting a new YouTube channel today, I wouldn't necessarily choose the number one niche. I will look for the sweet spots. For example, business case studies, AI tutorials, AI productivity, company history, economics explained, personal finance, beginner investing, housing market content, or even something like history plus money. Because you can take a high value subject and package it as entertainment. For example, instead of how investing works, you can make how rich people actually make their money. Instead of company history, you could make how this company went from almost bankrupt to worth billions. Instead of economics explained, you could make why everything suddenly became so expensive. Same general niche, completely different level of curiosity. So after looking at all 100 niches, here is the biggest lesson. Don't chase RPM. Chase the combination of demand, advertiser value, views, retention, and most importantly, your ability to create consistently. The highest RPM niche in the world wouldn't help you if you can't get anyone to watch. And if you find a topic that people desperately want to watch, build strong titles and thumbnails, keep viewers engaged, and attract a commercially valuable audience, that's where you have a real opportunity. So now I want to hear from you. If you had to choose one of the niche from this list to start a YouTube channel today, which one would you choose? Would you choose finance, AI, business, luxury, history, sports, or something completely different? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more videos breaking down YouTube niches, RPM, monetization, and channel growth, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.